What's up, folks? My name is Han Feng, and today we're standing inside a Majestic 23A RV. It is 24 feet inside and about 26 feet total, bumper to bumper. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough on how to use this RV, okay? So first, if you look here, basically propane is fed through these burners, and when you click the sparker, it goes on. For example, this one in the back, I'm turning it, spark, there's a fire, off. The microwave is a standard microwave that you see at home. So when you use it, all you got to do is add some time and click start, and that's it. Now let's head on to this way. This is an RV fridge. So the top is a freezer. It's empty, but it can make ice right now. If you look really carefully, you come over here and looking carefully, the walls have ice building up already. So that's how cold it is. The bottom over here is also a standard fridge. It doesn't freeze, but you have your pull-out compartments in the bottom, side compartments to hold things like sauces and pops, in the middle for everything else. This is important to note up here. What you see here is a standard on-off switch on RV fridges. When you click it off, the fridge will turn off. When you click it on, it turns on. What this button on the side is to set it from automatic mode to manual mode. So right now it's in automatic mode. What does that mean? That means when you plug it in, the fridge will automatically switch to electricity. But when you unplug it, it will automatically switch to propane mode. Again, this is the automatic mode. If you want it to be not an automatic, you click it off. And now it's forcing it in gas mode. I don't exactly know many use cases that this would apply to, but one case that it could apply to is, for example, if you're plugging this RV into a circuit that is almost overloaded. And if you plug in this fridge, it will definitely overload it. So what you could do is switch it to manual mode. So when you plug in the RV, this fridge won't turn on. It will just keep it in propane mode, which will not overload a circuit. But 99% of the times, you want it on automatic and on. Now, one thing I want to talk about is filling gas in this RV. When you fill gas in this RV, before entering the gas station, you want to walk over here and hit this off button. If you're driving by yourself and you have no passengers with you, like often in my situation, pull over somewhere, or well before pouring gas somewhere, click the off button and then go in the gas station and fill it up. When you're done filling gas, on the way pulling out, stop, click it back on, and then drive to your trip. The reason why I say this is because when this is in propane mode, there's an open flame inside this RV, and it heats up ammonia to create the working temperatures for this fridge. Because of the open flame, you cannot have this fridge on when you're in a gas station. You can get fined for that. So before going in a gas station, all you have to do basically is click off. And when you're done filling gas, drive away, click it back on. That's simple. If you have passengers in your RV, just tell them to get up and click the off button. Simple. If you're by yourself, like I said, pull over ahead of time. Otherwise, you could get fined, or in an extreme scenario, light some gasoline on fire. All right, that being said, let's move on to the panel here. Every RV is going to have a panel similar to this, what you see. This is the water pump button. You'll get to that later. This is the level testing button. If you look at the levels here, this is empty, that is full, okay? So if you look at here, I'm going to outline a couple of things. You have your battery condition, your propane gas level, your fresh water level, your black tank level, your gray tank level. Now, when it's empty, it'll be in the bottom, because tanks in the RV are like regular tanks, and there's a sensor and a sensor and a sensor, which correlates to this sensor light, and that light. So as the tank fills up, these will go up. You can see that the fresh water is 2/3 full, right? So what is fresh water? Fresh water is the water coming out of your taps right here, and your shower and your sink. Black water is toilet water. Black water is toilet water. What you see here is gray. Gray water is the sink water and the shower water. So when you use your sink to wash your hands and wash your dishes, or when you go shower, it drains into here. And then from there, it goes into the gray water reservoir. And as you fill it, you will see this light go up. As you use the washroom, you will see this light go up. When it reaches full, it's full. Often, if you don't keep track of it, you'll see that the water will start coming up out of the shower because it's full. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it, right? Again, terminology. Battery condition, 12 volts is good. Propane, full is good. One thing to note, actually, is these propane tanks very often will be at 2/3 because you cannot fill propane tanks more than 80%, in North America at least. So you will never have it really full for a long time because 2/3 is pretty much full. Fresh water, water that comes out of your taps and shower. Black water, toilet. Gray water, sink water. All right, now that we talked about those 3 things, let's head to the washroom and then I'll explain a couple of things, okay? Well, actually, before that, here's the water pump. So let's talk about the water pump usage, okay? Right now, if I turn on this tap, nothing. Because the water, I'm not plugged in right now to any, I'm not fully hooked up to anywhere. Right now, all I have is a freshwater reservoir underneath me in this RV. So when I turn this tap on, nothing's happening because there's no pressure. Your home is different. In the city, you constantly have pressure in your house. So when you turn on the taps, water sprays out. To create pressure in the taps to get the water to come out, you want to hit this water pump switch. Now look at that tap when I hit it. I hit it, water comes out. You hear that noise? That's the water pump making pressure. This is standard with all RVs, by the way. Turn it on, off. Simple as that. When you don't want to use it, you flick it off. But right now, I'm going to keep it on, and this red switch is what tells you it's on. I'm going to keep it on, and let's head to the shower. Okay, so here's the sink. Come over here, look at the furnace. Okay, so right now, it's the dead of summer. I'm sweating because it's hot. Putting this on is going to make me sweat even more, but what this is the thermostat for the heater, propane heater. So when you want it on, you flick it this way, where it says warmer, not cooler. So you go like this. And that would trigger, hopefully, the propane, the heater to go on, which I don't think it will right now because it's so hot in here. But if it was winter, it would turn on. Right now, it's not going to kick on because it's actually, you see that maximum temperature there? It's 32 degrees. It's 36 degrees right now, so this is not going to pump on. Okay, I'm going to take over here. So here's the mirror. And this is where you brush your teeth and wash your hands after using the washroom. Again, you need the water pump on. And inside of it, you have some compartments to hold stuff. And on top, you have a light switch. You can do 1 switch, 1 light, or 2 lights. Middle for off. This is an RV toilet by Dinette. If you use the boat washroom, it's extremely similar because it's the same system. So you lift this or that, it doesn't matter, depending if you're a guy or girl. And here on the bottom, there's a little valve switch. If you push it a little bit, it fills it up. And if you push it all the way, it dumps it. That's how you use it. Again, let me demonstrate. You fill it as high as you want. Well, not that high. You want it like kind of like this. Do your business, and when you're done, you flush it. That's simple. Let me show you how to treat the toilet. When you treat RV toilets, there are a few ways to do it. You can buy packets like this, which are self-contained clean packets. You can buy it in loose powder form, which is the same thing that's in here, but in loose powder form, or you can buy the liquid variant. I like these because they're clean. Look, if it drops, nothing's going to happen. You don't have a big mess to clean. If you get the liquid form and the bottle tips over and leaks all over your RV, you're going to have a mess to clean up. If you buy this in pure powder form and that bottle tips over, you're going to have a lot to clean up. This is the cleanest method possible. So I'm going to show you how to treat it. It's really simple. Earlier I showed you how to fill the water. So you fill it like that. You dump it in the middle, softly, doesn't splash in your face. And then you flush it down. And the rest is automatic at that point. That's it. The toilet's treated. And remember, you don't have to dump one in every time you use the washroom. Just every time you dump the tank, which I will show you later. This is a standard RV shower, hot and cold, Right now you only have cold, and I'll show you how to make it hot in a bit. Start. Showers out. That's self-explanatory because this is pretty much what you're familiar with. This one does have a start and stop button, so if it's on stop, nothing's gonna come out. But when you push it that way, it sprays out like that. Okay? Over here is a vent on the top. So when you use the washroom and all that, you want to put that vent on. And here's a light switch here that will show you nothing will work unless this is on. You have this master switch here, which is usually for kids that can't reach the top. So if you're an adult and you go up here and you turn this light off, this switch will nothing will work. This is up here is the main one. So what you want to do is keep that on double or whatever you want, so that you can use the switch to turn it on and off. So in this RV, you have a light over here for bedtime, a light over there. You have your speakers in the back and an outlet right there, okay? We talked about the toilet, okay? One thing that's different about these toilets is you need marine or RV toilet paper. These toilet papers disintegrate in water versus clumping up. So when you dump the tanks, it doesn't get stuck. It's important to use RV or marine toilet paper in these RVs. Otherwise, you can have a toilet problem. You get them at Walmart, Canadian Tire, campsites, anywhere that has camping stuff. All right, what else is there to talk about? Yes, I told you I was going to talk about the hot water heater. Now, if you step over on this side, you have your hot water heater. Ow. Okay, I'm sweating a lot because it's hot. Earlier, I talked about a hot and cold situation in the shower. Right now, everything's cold because I haven't initiated the hot water heater. Like your house, this RV has a hot water tank. However, the one in your home is huge, but this one is just 6 gallons. So what you want to do is 20 minutes before showering, you hit this button. Now, I'm hoping the mic will pick it up. Can you bring it a bit closer here? I'm going to hit it and you're going to hear an ignition. There. You hear that burn? That burn is your hot water tank burning up. So in about 20 minutes, this will be hot. And you can shower and all that stuff with warm or hot water if you like. Let's head over here. Those of you that RV a lot will be familiar with this dinette setup. There are a few variations, but this one in particular is like this. The best way to do this is to take these 2 seats here, which have seat belts, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put this vertical, like this. Put this one vertical, like this. And now, if you want to just get a low angle here, you have to take this table and lower it, okay? This table is designed to wiggle. You can pull all you want, nothing's going to happen. You have to wiggle it, and it comes right off. You look at the design of this, it has, look, I'm pulling this a lot, right? Nothing's happening. But if you wiggle it, and mind you, when you wiggle it, don't put your face on top of it because it's going to pop up eventually in your face. You don't want to do that, otherwise you're going to get injured. So you want your face to be here. When you wiggle it, that's going to happen. Always happens. Don't put your face there. Every RV is going to do this, all right? So you take this, put it aside. Table goes up like this because at a 45-degree angle is when you want it. Bring it down. Like so. Now you have your bed. What you want to do is rearrange the cushions. Put them in the middle like this. Put this one sideways, like that. And then now you have a bed, like so. That's where you sleep, okay? That's how you convert it. Now, I'm going to turn it back to a table, just so you can see it one more time. What I do, again, is I put these cushions vertical, otherwise they'll be in your way. Put the cushions vertical, and if you look at it, this table rests on a bridge. And if you look at that bracket there, like I said, it's an L. You have to, can you put it closer to the side and show the bracket? I'm going to try to get a good angle of the bracket. You go up, 45-degree angle, hook it in, you'll see it. Get the bar, this bar, stick it back at the bottom, table back in the bottom. And then now you reconvert everything back to its original positions. And everything is good to go. You might want to keep a habit of taking the seatbelts out if you're having a lot of guests, because otherwise you're going to have to dig for it, because the seatbelts hide underneath this cushion. And there you go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, like so. And again, you want to take the seatbelts out. Speaking of seatbelts, now let's look here. If you look behind here, you're going to see 2 latches. These are for baby seats, okay? If you're a father of children or mother of children, you're going to know that these are in cars usually, and it's a standard latch system. So you would put your baby seat here, stick the back latch in here, lock it there, take the seat belt, and buckle it in the back of the car seat. So to answer the question, can these RVs accommodate car seats? Yes, that's how you do it. I didn't show it earlier, but there is a compartment here to put that bar at nighttime. If you wanted to, like this, lifting this up, bar out, inside, so that way no one trips. And when you're ready to make it back into the table, take it out, put it in, stick it down, and that's it. So you see this here. I'm not that tall, so I don't ever do this. But if you're a tall person and you want to have more room for your head when you come down to drive, you take this and put it in the back. So that way it's more open and you can sit down easier. Oh, if you look here on the top, you have your vent, standard roof vent, but I put a max air vent on top. So basically that gives a bit of hail-proofing, because nothing's hail-proof. And another side advantage of having these max air vents is that you can keep it open when you drive, because air will just go in and out as you drive. It's a double-edged sword, because when it's really dusty, it'll come in. You don't want that. So if you're only going to go on a dirt road, you want to close it. Otherwise, it's pretty good to keep open, even when it's raining. Just wanted to note that up here, there's some compartments for you to put your stuff in. And there's some drawers down here for you to put your spoons and forks, and compartments up here to put your plates and cups. So there's an emergency exit in this RV. You take it, it says unlock and slide fully to open. Oh, all the way there. All right. And basically, if you look at it, this, apart from this screen here, you can jump out. This is just a screen. I can punch right through. So that's a secondary exit. But normally, you want to close it. A standard RV door. This is how you do the screen for bugs. You see this? There's a latch here that hooks onto the door. You can push this down, close this or not, and then close this door here. And if you look at it, you're now bug proof. When you get out, you slide that, pop that open, and get out. And eventually it'll latch back onto here if you want to. If you look here on the bottom, there's a very small LED that turns on, and that is to basically allow you to get in the RV with light without waking everybody up. And out here is the patio switch, which turns on an LED light outside. Now, outside here is the standard compartment you'll see in many RVs. This is where you fill in the propane. Boom. So you don't do it yourself. So when you get to a site with a technician, they'll come here, tell them where it is. They will unscrew this, put the propane through here, and load it back up. Here's the gauge. Remember what I said, 3/4 is full, and the technicians will know this. One thing to note is when you hit a ferry, so for example, if you want to go from Calgary to Vancouver Islands, they will tell you to turn off the propane and keep it off through the whole trip. And they'll also give you a red tag to put on here to show that you did it. Okay? So right is tight, left is loose. So I'm gonna have it open right now so that it can be used. Okay, let's head on to this side. So right now I have the RV plugged into a 15 amp outlet at my home. So this is what you're used to seeing, a 15 amp outlet. And this is what's called a 30 amp outlet right here, okay? This is a converter, which I'll put in the RV and keep it there so that if you need it, you can have it. So I'm gonna take this big giant wire, coil it into the RV for storage, okay? So head on over here. This is where it goes in. You just logically loop it in a circle so that it's a bit more organized. So in the end, you want to see a bunch of loops because that's the most efficient way to loop this in without making a mess. And then you put that like this for storage. And then when you're ready, you pull it back out and you plug it into where you need to plug it into. Over here is your gas fill, regular gas. And down here is your sewer connections. What you see here is the sewer system. Okay, so this is the sewer hose, and that's the sewer cap. The sewer hose and the cap has the same head. What you want to do when you get to your campsite, take this hose, you pull it out, unscrew that cap, take the front of this hose, and screw it in, and then the other side of the hose goes into the floor because that's going to be your sewer dump. Now when everything's all hooked up, what you want to do is take these valves, pull one this way and pull one that way. So what I mean by that is this valve here is for the black tank, this valve here is for the gray tank. If you look at the pipes, the black tank is a bigger pipe than the gray pipe. That's because sewage is a 3-inch pipe and gray water is 1.5-inch pipe. Similar to your home if you're into construction. So when you're ready to dump the tanks at your campsite, you pull the black, you leave the gray in, and you pull the black out. You can hear a big gush. That's all your sewage going into the ground. Once it's done dripping, you pop it back, and then you pull the gray. What the gray does is it rinses the pipe of all the sewage, so that way when you unscrew everything, it's a lot cleaner. When you're done with the gray water emptying, you can do another fresh water rinse, which is available normally at campsites, or you can just shove it back in there and call it a day, because sometimes you don't have that option. But it's important to do the order of black first, gray second. If you don't do that order, you're probably never going to mess up again in your life, because you want to do black first, gray second. Otherwise, what you're going to be left with is a sewer pipe full of sewage. You don't want that. I have a video that I did of myself doing this at a campsite. I'll try to cut that in here, but if I can't, just take my explanation for it. Okay, if you look under here, what we're doing is unscrewing that. Take the sewer hose, flip it on, and turn it to fasten it. Take this sewer hose, raise that, stick it in there like this, keep it down, so that's nice and secure. Release the black tank. There you go. So to close it. And the second one you do is always the gray tank, which is the left. After pulling the gray tank, what you're doing now is rinsing this pipe with gray water, which is your shower water and your sink water. Remember, be slow. Don't let the pipe flick upwards at you. You should close the valves before doing that. That's the gray valve, so it's not that bad. You don't want the black valve open ever. Take the cap, screw it back on. Back into the hole. Remember, be slow and steady. Don't let water flick at your face. There's a compartment for storage. There's a rear entrance and a side entrance. This is a generator that you use, and I'll try to cut in my tutorial video for this. But you plug the RV into this when you want power off the grid. But normally you don't need it because your campsites have plugins anyway. Switch right here. Got 2 plugs. the thieves. Over here is a tiny LED switch you can put on to help pack when you're doing your packing. Over here is a little compartment that lets you put things in there. And this is actually a table that comes out and unfolds if you want to use that. And back there is a spare tire for any emergencies. Normally you can't really change it yourself because these are heavy duty vehicles, but you have roadside assistance. You call them to bring a new tire, and if you don't have a new tire, what they'll do is just take the spare tire, replace it, and it buys you enough time to go to another place and get a new tire. All right, so earlier I talked about the freshwater tank and the meters. So this is where you fill it. I have a hose right here in the compartment that I mentioned earlier. In here, blue hose is BPA free. BPA free, so you can use it for water and drinking by regulation. This, when you run out of water to refill it, you open this up, go to the filling station and use their blue hose, not their black hose, because the black hose is for rinsing the pipe. The blue hose is for filling water, drinking water. So you can just stick the hose right in here and fill it. And from there, you either go to the meter and check how full your tank is, or you just wait for this to spew out. When it spews out, you tap it and it's full. This is a hot water heater. You don't gotta touch it because it's automatic. Some do have a manual switch where you gotta go outside and push a button for the pilot light, but this one's automatic, so you just leave it as is. And that's it. So we're on the other side of the RV now, and this is another water inlet, but it's for what's called a full hookup. So if you have city water, for example, you can thread the hose right in here, and when you use the taps, pressure will just spew out of the taps like your home. So you don't have to use a water pump because the pressure is being provided by the connection of your home or wherever the source is from. One of the things you have to watch out for is high pressure. Sometimes you might hit a spot where there's irregularities in pressure, and the pressure might be too strong and break this connection. So often I don't recommend using full hookups for short rentals because of that reason, and also because it's a lot of work for a short trip when you can just use what's available in the reservoir. So this is a 24-footer RV. It's a super heavy duty E-350, which is similar to a F-350, except it's in van format. The front is a standard Ford. I don't have the engine on because it would be too loud to talk. But here you have your AC and vents. You have your light switch over here on this side. You have your high beams. Right here is the tow haul button for this truck. Now, if you're going from Calgary to the mountains, you're gonna experience a lot of uphills. What you want is to keep your tow haul button on, because what it does is it keeps the RPMs higher and gears lower. So your revolutions per minute are higher in your engine and your gears will be lower, which gives you a bit more power. So when you climb the mountains, you have a bit more torque. Essentially, it makes you climb a bit easier. With it off, not to say you can't do it, but it'll be a little bit harder for you to do. However, when you're going downhill, I find you want this to be on, because what it does is it keeps the gears a bit lower and you get a bit of engine braking, which helps a lot when you're towing, or not towing, when you're hauling like 12,000 pounds, okay? Normally you might not care that much, but I find tow haul is better. But you might find differently, so it's up to you. But I do recommend using it in the mountains because that's what any sane person would do. Over here is your emergency blinkers in the middle. Right here is your windshield washer slash blinkers. So blinking is like this. Windshield washer is like this to have the fluid spray onto your dash. And this is to control the speed of your wipers. It's pretty simple. Fan, CD player, power locks, power windows. The rest is pretty standard if you have been driving for a while. So this part I'm not going to explain too much. So when you drive, you can see the back tires with this side mirror here. When you drive, you want to drive with your rear tires, meaning when you do a turn, you want to be wide enough so that when you hit the turn apex, your rear tires are not going to go into a ditch. You want to make sure when you turn, you're looking and those tires clear the turn without you falling in the ditch, otherwise you're in trouble. That mirror is very important, and as long as you drive slow, you're not going to have any problems. Speaking of driving slow, it's important to drive slow. On the highways, you want to keep at 100, 105, 110 max, because you'll find that these degrade a lot in handling once you hit those speeds. Kilometers, yes. And we're in Canada, so we go by kilometer. When you're driving on the highway, you want to go 105 to 110 kilometers max, because these RVs lose handling significantly once you hit high speeds, because they're so heavy and they're so big that it catches the wind a lot, like a big sail on a boat. So I recommend 100 to 110 as a standard for driving these vehicles. And when you're driving in smaller roads, let's say 40 kilometers on the speed limit, you might actually go slower, because some of these smaller roads have really tight turns, and if you take it at 40 kilometers, you're not going to do well. Just keep in mind that the signs on the road are for regular cars, not you when you're driving a big RV. When you're driving a big RV, you want to drive whatever you feel comfortable with, because no one's going to fault you for driving slow in an RV in the slow lane. They're likely just going to pass you. They might get mad at you, but what are you going to do? Risk your life so that the guy behind you is happy? No, you're going to drive your pace. You're going to drive what's comfortable and what's within the limits of the RV. One thing to note is that RVs are not made in Canada. So if you look at the speedometer, the top big numbers are going to be miles, and the tiny ones are going to be kilometers. Because we're in Canada, you want to go by kilometers. Otherwise, you're going to be going 60 in a 60 zone and get pulled over by a cop for going 100 kilometers. You get a big ticket, all right, or suspension. So mind you, kilometers is what you want in Canada. I'm not sure what else I can add to this video, but I hope I explained everything well. And if I didn't, feel free to contact me and ask me some questions, and I'll do my best to answer you. But that's the general summary of how to use a Majestic 23A RV. Thank you for watching.